Hey, welcome back to the pod. Today I'm talking to Chad Mastagh. Chad is a South Bend firefighter and has been a firefighter for the last 19 years. And he's a senior rental sales agent at Ryder Truck and Rental. And most recently, he's the founder and CEO of Rides2U. Rides2U is a premium rideshare service focused on providing safe, reliable, high-quality transportation options to college communities that are being currently underserved by the mass ride-sharing companies out there today. And he is on a mission to build a company that treats their drivers like families so that you can trust them with yours. By treating their drivers like this and paying them fairly, they're able to provide an amazing service that parents and students alike can trust and depend on for a local night ride or long distance rides from and to airports. Chad, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me today.
Hey, I'm really curious. One of the things that I love about entrepreneurship is obviously solving for needs in the marketplace, solving for needs that we have. I'm really curious around your reason why. Why start a Rides2U, specifically because it feels like there is a predominant player in the space. And I want to go from the intention of why you started, and then also how is it now as you're growing or as you're expanding, knowing that there is a predominant, maybe one or two bigger competitors. Like, how is that like? But let's start with your why. Like, why did we start Rides2U?
Started Rides2U. I'm a local fireman for 19 years now. I also work at Ryder Truck Rental for 21 years, and I was driving for the big guys, as like people like to say. But I quickly learned that as a driver, those guys they're not for the driver. I mean, I can speak from personal experience. You know what I mean? It just wasn't beneficial to me. I was driving to make money to pay for my kids and to get them through and driving nights and weekends. And it's nice for my schedule. If you really sit down and look at the economics as a driver, it's not that good.
Mhm.
At the same time, my daughters were in college, working for the fire department, having two college age daughters that were out doing what college kids do at night and party and stuff. You worry as a parent, like, hey, how's my kid getting from point A to point B? And again, being on the street as a driver, you see what some of the other drivers and vehicles, and heard horror stories. Seeing that firsthand, they just thought, hey, there's got to be something better out there, better for the driver, better for the customer, safer as a parent that hey, there's a better option when my kid's off at school. And then on the flip side of that is these kids are at school and their parents are 10 hours away, maybe longer, maybe closer. But, you're worried about, hey, how's my kid getting to and from the airport? Are they going to be riding with a stranger for hours? And how well are they vetted? How good is their car? Some of the major players in the game, their vetting process isn't that good. It doesn't make me feel good as a parent. So I want to do something different and better. That's kind of how it started. It was just, I want to give you something that they aren't giving you. So tying that into the next phase, I'm not trying to compete with those guys. Those guys they're a volume play. How many rides can we do? Where can we? They don't care. Just how many can we do?
Yeah,
And
it's a different economic model. Yeah.
we're trying to fill a space that they don't seem to care about as much. It's a little niche market, and we've identified these across the country. And we're going to take that and make that into a great company that can help parents and students and benefit the drivers that are out there driving.
I love that. So again, geolocation competition, but also it's a different intentionality. I mean, you're solving your practical, like boots on the ground, punch you in the face reality. Like, this is what it is, and this is what's going on. This is the raw reality. The driver economics don't make sense. I mean, I've been in very dangerous like rides. I won't name the company, but we were. Right. Oh my gosh! Thank God we made it there safely. Like, I would be like, what is going on here? Hopefully they got them off the platform, but
that's one thing we do different. And at the end of the day, the people that help me with the interviews, if we wouldn't put our family in your car, then you're not going to drive for us. I mean, we're providing a safe, reliable, high quality ride, and we guarantee those rides. And I like to say all the time is we treat our drivers like family, so you can trust them with yours.
I love that. Take me through the ideation phase. How did you know you had something? Because I think a lot of us have great ideas, great opportunities, different unmet needs, but then we think, oh, someone already did that, or oh, it feels like there's too much competition. And sometimes we talk ourselves out of actually doing it. I think the old saying is that the average attempt someone makes to execute something is 0.7, because some people don't even try. Some people don't even go for the first step. So in the ideation phase, how did you start getting boots on the ground, things going and momentum happening? What were some of your early aha moments?
I mean, just, doing rides, this is common all over the country and driver groups across the country. You can read the same thing over and over. Drivers aren't happy. As a driver, people are always wanting you to do work on the side. Now, there's a lot of risk involved with that, proper insurance and those things. You're going to lose a lot for just a little bit of money. So I kind of went and got my own commercial policy, started doing these things. So I was a legit company on my own and just kind of built my own client base and
Mhm.
realized that there's a better opportunity. Like I couldn't keep up with the work request. You know what I
Wow.
mean? And some of the students there are going to give props to the Idea Center in Notre Dame. Recommended I go there, and that's kind of they helped me from phase one build. Hey, here's become an LLC, get this, get that, and build the whole company to where we are today.
Product market fits when you had more demand that you can keep up with. I think that's
Right.
always a really good sign. So the initial, just to framework it out, because I know maybe some people listening here have brilliant ideas, but what's the practical reality next step is actually you embodied that business yourself. You became that first employee as a founder. You were doing it. From there, you got validation for the market, taking it to the next step. How do we go from your experience here? Because this is a bigger play. You're not just building a product, you're building a almost like a national service. Well, it's going to be a national service. You're expanding. So proof of concept, set up the infrastructure. How do you expand from there? What were your next steps?
So we became a corporation, started seeking investment money, which is these trying times today. It's pretty difficult to do. Like we kept hearing from different parents. Students have, like at Notre Dame, we have multiple parents who have kids at Purdue, at IU, Clemson, multiple schools across the country. You know what I mean? And you start hearing the same thing over and over. Hey, I had the same problem at this school with my child. I didn't realize when I sent my kid to school 10 hours away, this was how I didn't know. I know Chicago was 2 hours away. I didn't know. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't think about these things. So you just hear it over and it resonates like, man, there's a bigger problem here across the country. And we started doing some user testing and some research and we're able to identify these markets. And now like, we're just in the process of hiring about 25 drivers right now. Yeah, Purdue was just there last Wednesday. So it's great timing.
I like that. You seem someone who's very determined. I mean, you're a firefighter. Are you still with Ryder Truck? Are you still doing that as well?
Mm-hmm.
Doing two essentially jobs, two full-time jobs, plus your startup, which is three. And I'm assuming like with the family at home, that's four. And then taking
Right.
care of yourself, there's five. I mean, so tell us about balancing and managing that. Cause I think one of the other key things, specifically when starting, is like, hey, I'm a parent, or hey, I got to have full time. How do I make this side hustle work? How do I make this thing grow? How do you balance it? What are some of the things that you believe in terms
Right.
of your work ethic, your approach to life that allow you to balance this and still be healthy in all areas?
The first thing you got to do is you got to believe in your idea. You know what I mean? You got to like
Hmm.
just be passionate about it. If you're just doing something and you don't sell out for it, for lack of a better word, I don't know how successful you're going to be. Like I started doing this and just for lack of a better word, fell in love with the idea and truly believe it. And I see the momentum we've started and where we're going. And I got to tell us all the time that I'm willing to die building this for my family. Like I see it as a life
Wow.
changing legacy. You know what I mean? That there's an opportunity here that you get ideas and sometimes like, oh, okay, maybe it'll work, maybe it's not. But if you're not all in, you got to be all in on the idea. And I see it, like I said, as a chance to take this and help a lot of families, help a lot of drivers, and to change my family's legacy, to build something for my family and say, hey, look, this is what we did. We've made it better for a lot of people, and it helped my family out as well. I like to say all the time is thanks to Ryan who connected us. One of his famous sayings is, "I'll be working while you sleep." Like
Oh
I
man,
don't.
we'll be
It's
sleeping
just
like a baby.
I actually think the saying is while you work. I gotta look it up for you, but I'll come up with it. It's
Yeah.
pretty catchy. Life is short, talk is cheap. I'll be working while you sleep.
Oh,
So
dang.
you know what I mean? It's just believing in the vision, and I think it's important to get the right people around you to support you, whether it be friends, whether it be advisors, someone at university. Because sometimes it's up and down. There's
Hmm.
highs and lows, and you sometimes feel like, oh my goodness, what am I in? I'm overwhelmed. How do I
Yeah.
do this? How do I get this permit? Where do I get this funding? And there's lots of wins, but there's lots of like losses. Sometimes you're not making the progress you want to make, and you want to go a million miles an hour, but in reality, it's slow. It's
Yeah.
not as
Things
fast
take
as I
longer
want to
than you
go.
think. Yeah.
It's like you're sprinting in place sometimes. Like, man, I want to go, and app development doesn't go as fast as you want, or funding doesn't go as fast as you want. But I always like to say this too. You feel like 1 minute in entrepreneurship, like Rocky Balboa. I'm on
Hmm.
top of steps, ready, like, hey, that was great. And the next minute I feel like Nemo, but with two bad fins in the middle of the ocean, just trying to stay afloat. So
Oh, I
there's a
love
lot.
it.
There's a lot of emotions. You know what I mean? So it's just at the end of the day, again, believing in your vision and determining. That's my determining factor. My driving force is for my family.
Well, props to you for hitting on my favorite movie. We just watched Nemo with my son the other day, so it's hilarious. No, but I think it's interesting because as you're building your team, you're actually building the culture, and the culture is a reflection of you. How are you balancing that with your team? Because I was just on with a good friend on his podcast, and he served in the military, and well, he was out. Like he trained to like the intense levels, and like with I think that's called Operation Thor or something like that, with like world class trainers across the world for like Olympic trainers, school trainers, etc., for sports and athletes, and they were training them there. And he was saying that he was in the service, no problem going in, get out. Obviously, there was a lot of there's real life there. But going out in the actual entrepreneurship world, like he actually experienced real stress, like actual like emotional issues and stuff like that. And it's a different play because you can go all out, let's say in a workout, you can go all out in what we like to do. But there's also the flip side of this. Life is short, talk is cheap. I'll be working while you sleep. That's great, but we also have to have the importance of the rest, of the importance of the decompression and the compression. How do you balance that tenacity and that drive, which is necessary? Because a lot of creation and a lot of the birth of a new idea requires an immense amount of action, an immense amount of activity. But how do you balance that as you work with others, when you work with the team, when you work with your drivers to ensure that there is the flip side of also taking care of yourself and keeping that balance?
Right. I mean, it's you got to have like multiple hats on. Like, an important part of the whole piece is you do it for your family or whatever you're driving for, just to take that time and celebrate with them. It's hard to find time, and I still struggle with that daily sometimes. Right. Like, say when I get home, I gotta put my phone away and spend time with my kids, and then you know what, I can get up at 10 o'clock and work till whenever I need to. But to balance the family time or whatever that's important to you to get away and enjoy. That's why I work so hard. That's probably a lot of us that have kids work so hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Provide for your family and spend time with your kids. And my last kid's getting ready to go off to college, and I was quickly realizing, like, man, that time went fast. We got 27-year-old, a 24-year-old, and 18-year-old, and trying to really just absorb those moments. Like tonight, we're going to a high school baseball game, and just take the time and decompress, put my phone away, and just watch the game and enjoy. But working with your team, it's just and finding the right people. And there's
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of people that can offer you help, but it's just identifying like people that believe in your vision and where you're going and that aren't trying to change my vision. I always want advice. Like, hey, do you think this is a great idea? I try to bounce things off people all the time, but I don't want someone to take me away just like me to take an investment, right? Like, it's got to be the right fit. Like, hey, look, we believe in what you're saying. I still want you to be my visionary and paint the vision for the company. And just like when I go talk to drivers, just being real. You just got to be real with people and treat people real and be authentic. I just sit down with you and I try to feed you a line. That's no good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That happens all the time. It's just, hey, like I wear my heart on my chest and on my sleeve, and I just go forward like that with everybody I talk to.
Have you started other companies in the past?
No, I mean, I mowed grass for when I was 16 years old and 15 years old. My dad drove me around and I was mowing like 7 yards, but no, I've never started another company before. So,
No, I love it. I think you have all the ingredients that are necessary to win and just the way that you approach it. As you're working and developing your team, like how large is your team right now?
so right now it's just mainly myself. I have a CTO. She's a lot more than that. Ellen Joyce. She's an awesome lady. She's actually going to Notre Dame for a PhD, getting ready this
Wow.
fall in computer science. She's been in business before, and I mean, she's an awesome business partner to have. She's been there. She's kind of guided me. I have a great team of advisors: Ryan Krieger, Jack Rotolo, Raul Hernandez.
I love it.
Um, just those people that have been in business and understand and been in entrepreneurship and support your vision, but also, hey, look, this is why are you doing this? What are you doing? This is where we need to go. You know what I mean? Like, to have that fit is very important. So the team, that's essentially our team right there. And then we got, I think, around 48 drivers right now in South Bend.
Wow.
They're all independent contractors. And then we're working on, like I said, 25 drivers at Purdue.
Dang, so you're expanding pretty quickly, almost doubling. And the reason I asked that too is because I think that there is a unique approach that you have in a unique lens in the way that you see things and the way that you're operating, because this is you don't have it's like seeing everything with fresh eyes and a fresh approach. And I'm not trying to to fluff up or puff up here. I think it's important though. Like sometimes like this is why consulting or when I work or come into teams and see from the outside in, I can see things and we can see things that the team can't see because they're in it. So I think there's a unique approach that you have, that drive, that tenacity, that fire to be able to move and be successful. and actually grow this to the level it needs to grow because you have the right ingredients, but also because you have like a beginner lens. Not that it's like beginner that you haven't done
Right.
this before. You've been successful like working with what you've been doing with firefighting and with Ryder trucks. But I think that's important for us to take into account is that maybe because this could be new or something is new for someone listening to this right now, you might have a different perspective, life experience, and approach that can make you even more successful because you're approaching it differently, because you're not taking into account the old like dogmas or ideologies that others pass down if you were to be growing up in that field that you want to get into. So I think it's an interesting take. What are some of the things that you hold fast to that others have disagreed with you, but you still held fast and it turned out to be a positive outcome?
I mean, we hold fast like right now to like our driver pay. The bigger players in the game say these numbers that they pay. I can firsthand say my pay doesn't match up to what they say. And a lot of other drivers in forums across the country will tell you the same thing. So being a man of our word, of my word and the company's word about, hey, this is what we're paying, you know what I mean? And this is how we're going to build this. We're going to treat you like I want to be treated. You know what I mean? It's always like treat others like you want to be treated. And to know the pain points of a driver is important. I mean, I feel like there's a crying of these drivers to the companies and they just don't listen. You know what I mean? Because you're just a number. You're replaceable. They'll get another person to take your spot with no problem. So treating our guys and our drivers and like I want to be treated is very important because if we do that, in turn, it gets a better customer service. You know what I mean? The customer has a better experience. They want to come back. Their drivers are happy. They're not out there driving kind of grumpy, like I have to do this to pay my bills. So just get in and get out. You know what I mean? It's a better overall experience. And they're sharing our company to other people.
What's the bigger vision? I know right now you're expanding, you're hiring more drivers, you're developing the software, the website, etc. What's the big vision? What does success look like 10 years from now? And what does the world look like because of your success?
I mean, the bigger vision is, like I said, we're trying to get to Purdue this fall here for sure. And maybe we expand down to Bloomington. We got multiple schools in the South pegged to launch in the fall of 24. Hopefully within early 25, to be honest with you, we'd be at about 20 different college campuses across the United States. We've identified roughly 100 of them, of the 800 and some colleges in the United States that fit our model. So the goal is by 25 to be at about 20 of those. So in 10 years, I hope we're at all 100 of those college campuses being successful. And I think there's also a need for this similar situation as far as popular vacation points across the United States. It's just the big guys aren't good at reservations. They've just revamped the reservation system and it still stinks.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity. I was just down in Clearwater Beach. What do I do for my ride at 5 a.m.? Am I going to roll the dice? Am I going to roll the dice with a rideshare that I'm not sure is going to show up? Or am I going to pay for premium car service? You know what I mean? And that's expensive. So like I said, we're kind of in the middle, right? We're giving you that premier service at just above the big guy's price.
I like that. I like that. For me personally, I like that a lot because that is a huge need that I've taken those early flights or had.
So I think the market's bigger than college campuses. We're just focusing on those right now to scale. And I think that's something that we could definitely look at as the right destination.
Yeah,
I mean, look at Orlando, not necessarily Orlando. That's a busy place. But when you come into Orlando, you got to go to the cruise ships or you got to go to wherever you want to go to Tampa. There's a long ride. You know what I mean? And either pay a lot or roll the dice. So.
No, I like that. That's interesting. Chad, for our audience here today, where's the best place for people to, one, thank you for being on, and two, learn more about what you're up to?
Yeah, our website's probably the easiest place. That's the rides2u.com, RIDES, the number 2 letter U.com.
Cool. We'll put those links in the show notes. Chad, thanks for being on, man.
I appreciate you having me today.
If you found value in today's podcast, please consider sharing this with someone that you believe could also benefit from this episode. You never know, you may be the catalyst that opens them up to a new way of operating their business and experiencing life. As always, it's an honor to be a small part of your journey. This is Raul Hernandez. Do good work.